bear with me a little bit. I don't remember my crowd being this big when I practiced. Really. All right, welcome class 2012 and all of our guests here today, and thank you for attending this afternoon. We have spent our entire lives trying to get where we are today, and finally it's here. Before I begin, I want us to all take a minute and thank all the teachers for educating us and going out of their way to help us, and most of all, our parents, family members, and friends for being there when we needed help and pushing us to keep going, even when the contagious senioritis began to take over our lives. Together as a class, we have spent our past figuring out what to do with our lives. Some of us have known for years, some of us have finally decided this year, and some may not know yet, but that's okay. Think of it this way. Think of our lives as a timeline. Hold on a second, GoPro. This is my timeline. See how it's not very big? It's because I have my whole future ahead of me yet. Now, this is Mr. Ayler's timeline. Hold on, I need his help for a second. Ran out of paper, it'd be longer. Mr. Ehlers has lived a long time, almost 29 years to be exact, and he has accomplished a lot. So around 1993 to 1994, we were born. We entered school, we lost our first tooth, maybe found sports, and eventually ended up in middle school. Speaking of middle school, a few weeks ago, those of us who went to the middle school got a letter we wrote to ourselves in 8th grade. When we wrote that letter, we all thought we were overcoming something huge by getting out of middle school and entering high school. At that point in time, our biggest worries were probably how to be cool enough so that we wouldn't be that kid getting shoved into a locker, or the kid that got tricked into looking to the toilet to see his reflection. But now we look back, it seems like nothing. Someday we'll soon look back on this experience today, and we will agree that even though it probably was some of the best times of our lives, but it was just another speed bump on the road of life. It is extremely cliche, however, in every speech like this, a quote is needed in order to bring out the motivational subject. With that in mind, one second. Do any of you know what Aristotle said? Me neither. However, I did find someone in history who, despite all odds, continued to achieve even when people thought he couldn't. That person is Abraham Lincoln. His timeline would look incredible because just in his adult life, Lincoln overcame, hold on, got more problems. He overcame many failures in order to be a success. Abraham Lincoln failed in a business venture, was defeated as candidate for a state legislature. He failed once again in another business venture. His fiancée died, shattering him. He suffered a nervous breakdown, was defeated as a candidate for U.S. Congress twice in a row, and was defeated as candidate for U.S. Senate again. He was defeated as candidate for U.S. Vice President, and finally he was once again defeated as the candidate for U.S. Senate. Lincoln once again tried, and this is when he became the President of the United States of America. Lincoln once said, "In the end, it's not the years in your life that count, it's the life in your years." Sure, we may have not had it as difficult as him growing up, and we might never fail miserably over and over again at one thing like he did. But it doesn't mean that we shouldn't have the same attitude toward it as he did. Can you imagine where we would be right now, or how it would be, if, for that matter, if Abraham Lincoln had given up after the first or second failure? It is amazing to think just a single action from one person that so many underestimated has such an incredible history. Now, this doesn't mean that we should all go out and try to run for president, but it's saying that if we try over and over again with all our hearts, then we will be rewarded. After today, some of us are crazy enough to spend a few more years going to school, Others might be doing something else, and that's okay. No matter what you decide to do, you attribute to your own success. Build off what we have done together. Just think of all the obstacles that you have personally overcome in the past year, maybe 2 years, or even more. Everyone has their own personal story, and they are all different. However, that is how we are all the same and are all bonded together. Whether or not some of us stick together from here on out, always remember you're not the only one going through it, and that you can achieve great things against all the odds. No matter what you do in life, do 2 things. 1, do something that makes you happy. 2, give the effort to that thing that makes you happy. If you think about it, you can be what many people see as extremely successful. But if you're not happy with what you're doing, then there's no point in doing it. You have one life to live, and you should fulfill it to whatever point makes you happy. Another thought is that we hold the future in our hands. One single person in this class of 2012 can make the biggest discovery, invention, or impact the world has ever seen. However, you don't have to achieve that in order to be considered successful. Success has a different definition for us all. I know you're wondering when I'll be done. I promise I'll be done ranting soon. However, I want everyone to take one thought as you walk across this stage today. Think about all the things that you have overcome in the past 4 years, and remember you aren't alone. You may be the only person on that stage at that moment, but we are all in this together today. We have done this with each other, and that right there and right now, our stories are all the same at that exact point. We are all on each other's timelines today. Lastly, high school wasn't just about going to school because we had to. It was because of what we were afraid our parents might do to us if we hadn't. It was where we learned to get rid of our old habits and learn newer, slightly better ones. It was where we learned that the older we get, the more responsibility followed, and we're not quite done. We're now being forced to become responsible adults. Remember though, it doesn't end here. There will be many more occasions in life where you have to get dressed up to the point where you are perspiring, uncomfortable beyond belief, and sit and listen to someone talk for way too long about things you'll forget about tomorrow. For right now though, the only things we have to worry about are not tripping on this stage, what day we can pick up our real diplomas, and moving on with our lives. So are we ready to add this event to our timelines? Congratulations, class of 2012, let's graduate.